So what's the latest on the Brandon Aiyuk trade situation, and how is this going to impact his potential fantasy football value for 2024? It's the Fantasy Sports Boss. Want to dive in a little bit more on Aiyuk because of all the trade rumors that are going on. And honestly, it just seems like now it's a matter of time before he does get traded. We have reached a point with the 49ers where it looks like that just the relationship can't be salvaged. So Aiyuk looks like he's going to move on. This contract impasse is a big deal. But there's a lot to unwind here, so I'm going to get to that. Hit the subscribe button, guys, if you're new to the channel. Now, as far as Aiyuk the player is concerned, I have been on record many times to say that I, on talent alone, believe that Aiyuk is a top 10 wide receiver easy in all of football. You know, he posted 17-plus yards per catch last season. He's just a matchup nightmare. Instant separation guy, speed, size, you name it, he has it. The problem for Aiyuk, in terms of numbers, he's been a very good receiver, but he couldn't, he's a yards monster, but the raw catch totals have never reached the 90-plus range because he's on a team that runs the ball a lot. He's on a team with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, so there's a lot of mouths to feed in a run-heavy offense. So I think Aiyuk is getting a little jaded with all that, the lack of overall receptions and things like that, in addition to the contract. So Aiyuk moving on paper looks like a good thing, but here's the problem. The teams that have been most prominently mentioned are not good landing spots. Now, the Patriots, he would have been the clear number one guy, but Aiyuk expressed no interest to go there. So the Patriots are out. He would have been the number one guy in a very stripped-down Bear offense, so that would have been a good spot for him, despite the uncertainty at quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers are prominent in these talks, and I'm not liking that landing spot because you have a big talent in George Pickens there, and you have the ghost, not the ghost, the devil of Arthur Smith that's now running the show there in Pittsburgh offensively, and that is just about the worst thing you could possibly imagine when it comes to offensive players. So not a good situation there at all. Moving away from that now, is the fact of the matter that the Cleveland Browns are the other team. So the Cleveland Browns, this is another team that has an ace wideout in Amari Cooper. They have a receiving tight end in David Njoku, who really emerged last season. They brought in Jerry Jeudy. They have weapons, and Deshaun Watson certainly needs to reprove himself as a quarterback. So that's not the best landing spot either. We want Aiyuk on a team where he could be the clear number one guy, which he would have been in New England. Now, if he goes back to San Francisco, he remains a high-end wide receiver too. If he goes to Cleveland, I think he's a high-end wide receiver too there. In Pittsburgh, high-end wide receiver too. He can't get any higher than that in those locations. Now, here's the flip side. When he does get traded, and I've been a big-time critic of his over the years, Deebo Samuel now becomes a slam dunk wide receiver one, and I will now be back in on Samuel. I have not drafted Samuel basically since he's come into the league. He's an injury-prone guy. Again, run-heavy offense, has had to share the spotlight with George Kittle and Brandon Aiyuk. But you take Aiyuk out, now Deebo is the clear number one guy, and I would be back in on him as my second receiver on a fantasy team. And certainly he could work as a wide receiver one. So let me know what you think. Post in the comments below. More on this as it comes down the pike. More videos coming soon.